The moon hung low in the sky, casting a silver glow over the quiet town of Maple Creek. It was a peaceful evening, the streets bathed in the amber light from street lamps. But far above, beyond the reach of any human eye, a dark shape moved steadily toward Earth, a shape not of this world. From the moment the alien ship entered the atmosphere, it was clear that something extraordinary was about to happen. And then, in a single flash of light, it appeared. A dull thud echoed through the narrow alley outside Jason Carter's house. He was just finishing his late-night shift at the diner, the smell of greasy burgers and fried fries still lingering on his clothes as he pushed open his front door. His eyes darted around the yard, searching for the source of the noise. The only thing he saw was a small, trembling form at the base of his doorstep. He crouched down, his heart pounding in his chest, unsure of what to expect. But nothing could have prepared him for what he saw. A baby, no more than 2 feet tall, wrapped in a strange shimmering blanket, was lying there. It had the wide, innocent eyes of a child, but its skin was an unusual pale shade of blue, almost translucent in the moonlight. Jason froze, uncertain if he was dreaming. He reached out cautiously, and to his surprise, the little creature stirred, its tiny hands reaching for his palm. "Hey there," Jason whispered, almost afraid to speak too loud. "What are you? Where did you come from?" The baby alien gurgled, its soft voice almost like a song, but its eyes seemed to be full of desperation. Jason quickly looked around, but there was no sign of its parents or anyone else. The only thing he saw was a dark, metallic object hovering above in the distance. Whatever this was, it wasn't a coincidence. Before he could process further, a soft, yet strained cry echoed from behind him. Jason's gaze shot up, and there, staggering in the shadows, was a woman, an alien woman. She was hunched over, her skin a deep shade of purple, with long, silver strands of hair cascading down her back. Her eyes, though filled with exhaustion and pain, were a mirror image of the baby's, haunted, filled with a mixture of sorrow and fear. The woman stumbled toward him, her legs shaking beneath her, and she collapsed onto the ground, barely managing to reach the doorstep. The alien baby cooed again, its tiny hands extending toward her. Jason stood there, stunned, not sure what to do. He knew instinctively that the woman was in trouble, that something was terribly wrong. She managed to lift her gaze to meet his, and in that moment, her plea was clear without words. "Help!" Jason's heart ached as he stared at the two of them, the helpless mother and the vulnerable child. He didn't know who or what they were, but in that instant, all he could feel was a surge of compassion. Without a second thought, he knelt down beside the baby first, gently scooping it up into his arms, then turning to help the woman. "Come on," he whispered softly. "You're safe now. I'll help you." Inside his small, modest house, Jason worked quickly to tend to both of them. The woman's breathing was shallow, and she winced as she tried to sit up. Her clothes were ragged, torn in places as though she had been through some kind of struggle. The baby cooed softly, nestled in Jason's arms, as if it understood that it was safe for the first time in what felt like forever. "What happened to you?" Jason asked, his voice soft, almost to himself. "Where are you from?" The woman looked up at him, her silver eyes full of an emotion he couldn't fully grasp. Her hands trembled as she reached for the baby, and though she struggled, she managed to pull the child into her arms. Her touch was gentle, affectionate, as though this child was the only thing left of a world long gone. Suddenly, the air in the room grew heavier. The woman's energy seemed to fade further. Jason rushed to fetch some water, but when he returned, she had collapsed once again. Panicked, Jason dropped the glass and knelt beside her, trying to check for a pulse. Her skin was ice cold to the touch, and she didn't respond to his shaking. He was just about to give up when, almost as though by instinct, the baby began to glow faintly, its body radiating with a strange energy. The woman stirred, her breathing steadying. Her eyes fluttered open. "She's healing you," Jason whispered in awe, unable to believe what he was seeing. The baby was now the source of life, its small form somehow radiating warmth that seeped into the woman's body. Slowly, her color returned, and her breath deepened. The glow faded, and the baby went silent once again, resting peacefully in her arms. The woman's silver eyes found Jason's, her lips trembling as if to speak. But no words came. Instead, she smiled faintly, the first sign of relief Jason had seen from her since her arrival. Jason exhaled, sitting back on his heels, trying to make sense of everything that had just happened. Alien life, extraterrestrial encounters, he had always thought they were just stories. But here they were, in his living room, and he couldn't just turn them away. Not now. Not after all they'd been through. "I'm Jason," he said, trying to break the silence. "You're safe here. I don't know where you came from, but I'll protect you both. I swear it." The alien woman blinked, and for the briefest of moments, something like understanding passed between them. It wasn't a universal language, but in her gaze, Jason felt the weight of her emotions, the love for her child, the fear of what she had left behind, and the relief that she wasn't alone anymore. As the night stretched on, the room filled with a quiet sense of calm. The alien mother, whom Jason had taken to calling Naira, finally managed to whisper one word in a language Jason couldn't understand. But somehow, it didn't matter. "Thank you." Weeks passed, and despite the growing uncertainty of their situation, Jason and Naira formed a bond. The baby, whom Jason had named Kira, was now flourishing, her energy vibrant, her laughter echoing through the small house. Naira, though still struggling with the trauma of her past, began to trust Jason. She shared fragments of her world, bits and pieces of her home planet, her people, their culture, and the war that had forced her to flee. She had been a part of a dying race, and Kira was one of the last of her kind. In time, Jason found himself drawn to Naira in a way he hadn't anticipated. Their connection was more than just a human helping an alien, it was something deeper. Something elemental. As Naira's wounds healed, both physical and emotional, she began to open up more, her soft laughter filling the spaces between them. Jason realized he had fallen in love with her not because of her alien origins, but because of the strength in her heart, the resilience in her spirit. One night, under the glow of the stars, Jason sat beside Naira, her head resting on his shoulder as they gazed up at the sky. "Do you ever wonder," she asked softly, "if there's a place for us in the universe? A place where we don't have to run, where we can belong?" Jason squeezed her hand, a small smile forming on his lips. "I think we just found that place," he said. As the stars twinkled above, Jason held on to the two beings who had come to mean everything to him. In a world full of uncertainty and fear, he had found his own kind of peace. And together, they would face whatever came next, knowing that sometimes, family isn't about blood, it's about the hearts that choose to come together.